Hey guys, Sweet Lou here. I've been working on this video for a while now, and ironically, Daybreak just updated H1Z1, so some of the things that I'm calling out in this video may no longer be accurate as of today, which is 6/21, June 21st. So in the interest of full disclosure, I have not played the new version of the game on the test server. These are just my thoughts from the time I've spent playing this game in general. So thanks in advance, guys, and look forward to a video of me on the test server very soon. What's going on, everyone? The Sweet Lou here. If you've been a sub since the start of this channel, you'd know that I started out as an H1Z1 guy. For the newer peeps, I started out as an H1Z1 guy. But you'll notice that I rarely do anything H1Z1 anymore. That's not to say that I never play the game. In fact, I was on the test server checking out some stuff the other day. I decided to make this video when I noticed that my older H1Z1 videos still seem to do well. I get views and comments on them, but most of these videos are over a year old now, so why are they still relevant? Weirdly enough, H1Z1 is kinda like one of those paper milk cartons you got as a kid in elementary school. Stick with me here. Its design isn't the greatest. It functions, but it's a pain in the ass to get it working in the first place, especially when there's other milk containers out there that simply function better. Because of the paper construction and lack of actual seals, the container doesn't keep the milk fresh as long as, say, a carton like this would. What do I mean by all this milk talk? I mean, H1Z1 is a decent survival game, but it has flaws that prevent it from being great. And with its design elements, the game failed to stay fresh for my friends and I. This chat may not be pretty for some of you, but I'm going to be fair and honest. I'll be real with you. I want to love this game, but the game's problems are absolutely undeniable. And I find this to be the perfect time to have this conversation, since allegedly Daybreak is rolling out the new map and new base building system to the test server in the upcoming weeks. This may be a turning point for the game, and in many regards, I feel this map is either going to be a make or break situation for H1Z1 Just Survive. With numbers like these, failure to show any sort of improvement on this update that has been promised for literally over a year now might be the last nail in the coffin. So let me explain why I backed away from H1Z1 and what I think Daybreak needs to do to make H1Z1 great again. Can't believe I made that joke. I'm going to start with the most obvious problem in the game. The progress has been ridiculously slow on H1Z1 Just Survive. I should note here that King of the Kill gets way more energy. You can hop onto that game and experience the new menu system, the new map, etc, etc. I jumped on the test server recently when they turned the weather system back on. What really got me about the experience, apart from how awful the rain looked, was the fact that more or less the game felt the same way it did when I started playing it. The map is the same. The UI is the same. The zombies are still stupid. The biggest threat is still the wolves because melee combat is still terrible. Oh, of course. Of course wolves can pass through metal. So what have they changed? Honestly, in the last year, what have they developed? Well, they worked on zombie AI. Sure could have fooled me. They worked on vehicle hoarding because everyone on Reddit was crying about it. They added in a few new base building items like the ridiculous resource box that no one used, and for the longest time you couldn't even demo from your base. They added in base permissions, and they made the little text box at the bottom work, removing our ability to use /LOC, which is a bummer. And how could I forget the most important addition to the game? Skins! Apart from these major items, Daybreak introduced several functionalities that push the game further away from being a survival game. You can now pick your spawn location. It has cooldown times, of course, and you have these little dots on your map now that shows where you and your teammates are. The sense of being dropped in the woods with nothing is completely gone now. What's more, compasses are useless now, since you can just see your little dot moving in real time while you auto-run. And of course, since we're talking about progress, it's certainly worth noting that more often than not, on the infrequent times Daybreak would push out a big update to the game, it would often be accompanied by critical aspects of the game being completely broken in the process. I've said this to my friends time and time again. The player base, especially on Reddit, is a huge part of the problem. A lot of the time it seems like H1Z1 Redditors have two modes, bitching about no progress being made, or bitching about how the little progress that was made broke the entire game. Reddit tends to get a bad rap among my friends, so I'm not going to rag on Reddit too hard. Honestly, in H1Z1, I've met some pretty cool people. There are absolutely some people who don't take things too seriously and just want to build stuff and have a good time. Shout out to my boy Corrupt, I see you, baby. Then, there are some who are much more keen on roof camping, killing you, taking your berries, and calling you a faggot. One time I got jumped by a group of Chinese players who spoke no English other than the word faggot. Imagine that. It's like Chinese, 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 faggot, Chinese, 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 Chinese. At the end of the day, I truly believe that a survival game is only as good as its community. The one thing that keeps a server alive is the user interactions. And when you have a shit community, those interactions tend to go south frequently. Now, I'm not opposed to kill-on-sight gameplay. In fact, my group and I were usually ready to KOS if we had to, but the idea of forming alliances was completely foreign in H1Z1. Even if you did meet a cool new person, would you really give them your base codes? Would you really trust that person? In most cases, no. What if there was a catastrophic event that occurred once a week, let's say, which forced players, even if they were enemies, to work together in order to survive? What if there were massive Dead Rising status hordes that toured the map, and if you weren't locked up in your base with a group, you were done for? These are the things that would foster a better community. And furthermore, in these events, you could have people that are defecting and causing even more problems. And that's the kind of thing that gives the game that replay value that people will want to continue playing it. And we can't really speak about the player base without bringing up one of the key reasons why I backed away from the game: the hackers. So here's some signature Sweet Lou real talk. There's nothing like grinding for weeks, only for some scumbags to fly over the walls of your base, aimbot all of you and your friends, and steal your stuff. Nothing like it. It's an amazing feeling. So what happens in this scenario? Well, a lot of people drop out of the race. Think about it. If you play a few hours each night, you'll have a nice little collection of goodies at the end of a week. Then someone can use a hack and take it all within a few minutes. Now, in the interest of full disclosure here, I haven't logged a lot of hours into the game in recent weeks, so I can't confirm for you personally how bad hacking is. It might not be as bad as it was when I was playing. In my personal experience, I've seen people aimbot. I've seen people fly over the walls of bases. I've seen people who can duplicate items. I've seen people who use ESP, which basically allows you to look into a base and see specifically what's in there, you know, if it's like a container or a car, blah, blah, blah. And when it comes down to it, there's really one question you need to ask yourself. Are you okay with spending literally hours, days even, on a server, struggling to make a base and get supplies, only to be mowed down by a hacker without a chance of fighting back? Let's be real, hackers are the main reason most people stop playing H1Z1. When you consider the hacking situation on a deeper level, it's actually pretty insane to think that people are paying for hacks on an alpha game. And on that topic, the bottom line is you joined an early access game. If you read the little text thing on the main menu of the game or Steam's little blurb about it, you'd realize that these things tend to be hot messes until their release. This is, after all, an alpha. One of the bigger concerns that I have with the alpha model is that this game came out in 2015, and it's still an alpha, with very little real progress made in my opinion. Rust came out in 2013, and it's still an alpha. Ark came out in 2015, and its full version is coming out now in August of 2017. So what am I saying here? Maybe it's time to start looking at these alpha games with a bit more scrutiny. I'm not trying to say the whole alpha idea is a scam meant to have people test the games for them so these developers can have less people working there while simultaneously making money off the game's release and bullshit cosmetic items like skins. No, wait. It's not necessarily the fault of the companies either. I mean, we're the ones paying for these games and skins, right? They're in business to make money. If they found a way to consistently make money off this model, it would stand to reason that they'd want to continue doing so. Let's talk about Daybreak a little bit. Daybreak's on the road to improving their communication skills. They have a Discord now where they hold Q&As. They seem to be a bit more active on the subreddit. But back when I was playing, there were times where you'd go weeks without hearing a word from them. Even now, their mods on Reddit are very choosy in terms of answering questions, and it doesn't shock me at all that Daybreak has communication issues. The bulk of the community on Reddit spends most of the day shitting all over the game. And so we come to the stalemate. Daybreak has obviously deprioritized Just Survive. It's as simple as that. Yes, they have 2 dev teams, but it's so apparent that more resources go into King of the Kill. Whenever they make a release, it's typically buggy, and it's typically met with waves of negativity, followed by lack of communication, followed by player decline likely due to big groups getting too big or hacking or whatever, and this cycle is concluded by another wipe, so it can all start again. On some final thoughts, I think there are aspects of H1Z1, and maybe even survival games on the whole, that are fundamentally flawed. KEEF, a dude who's been on this channel a few times now, and I have discussed the idea of the survival dilemma at length. We're actually planning on doing a podcast about it soon, but basically, here's what I'm talking about. Video games are typically goal-oriented, right? In Mario, you go from point A to point B, fight things, and save the princess. In H1Z1 and other survival games, you don't necessarily have a goal, do you? It's not to die. Consider this. There are really only 2 players in any given survival game. There are those who are doing well during the lifespan of the server. They have a big base, maybe even a few. They have plentiful ammo and weapons to the point where if they get killed and looted, it's not really that big of a deal to them. They have cars, and they don't really want for anything. The other is a hopeless player. Maybe he or she started a couple weeks after the server wipe and is now behind everybody else's progress. This player can't even dream of contending with the others on the server. What does the future hold for me specifically? Well, I don't intend on playing the game seriously until things seriously improve. The footage you're seeing now is from the other night on a high population server. As you can see, bases everywhere, but very few players. It seems that's the trend now. Grind, build up, get loot, abandon server until the next wipe. On a more optimistic note, Daybreak is planning on releasing the new map. Perhaps that's the reason why these huge issues are being left alone for now. The current game build is getting thrown aside, and it's not really worth the time or resources in fixing. I'll say this much. Once the new system rolls out, I'll certainly be spending some time back on the game. Maybe you'll see me around. And you better believe I'll give it a fair shot. I'm not hating on this game right now just to hate on it. I'm saying all this because honestly, I really love H1Z1. I really love what it's trying to be. But after playing it religiously for a year and a half, I'm tired of what it's trying to be. I want to love it for what it is. Thanks for listening, guys. This isn't the end of H1Z1 for me. Hopefully it's the beginning of a new era of survival. I still follow the game's development. I still go on the Reddit every day. I still hope for the game to turn out great. But for where the game is right now, I'm okay with sitting on the sidelines for a bit. As always, I am the Sweet Lou. Can't you